Hello guys, it's Alex again. All right, so today the market was very slow. You could see that I think the S&P 500 was kind of like just had like a super tiny range of like 0.5% or something like this. Um, and even on the scanners, there was not really anything that was of interest. I mean, ARTW and ORPN looked kind of interesting, with the well potentially interesting at the beginning of the day, but we weren't exactly sure. Um, so in the end, what happened is essentially nothing. Essentially, you could see some things. I feel like today, for some of the more interesting stocks, there were like one or two, roughly speaking, one or two interested buyers that really were excited about it and wanted to trade this or buy this. But then there was nobody else, and then the rest was just the everyday traders trying to make some kind of trade out of that one, whether it's long or short. And when you have that kind of thing, you have some going long, some going short. Usually, nothing much can happen. Nothing good can happen. The momentum is just not very good. Now, don't really take this today's summary so serious. I'm still practicing in the sim, which means I'm kind of over trading. Um, which in some cases, which we'll see later on ARTW, I'm even taking trades where I think they're going to be bad just to confirm whether or not I'm right. Because sometimes I look at stocks and I decide not to trade them, but then I forget about them later on. So it's better to trade them, even if I think that they're going to go the wrong way, just to confirm that suspicion and to make sure that I have that record later for the video. So that is why this one is not really representative. I will let you guys know when I'm being more serious about my trading. In general, because I'm still practicing, I can tell that my entries are getting a little bit better. Still not really where I want them to be, but they're getting a little bit better. But my exits are still kind of bad. So now I need to work on finding the exits or getting out of stocks at the right time. That's something I can focus on now, which is good because I was trying to focus on getting the right entry before, and now I can focus on getting the exit right. So it's just like slowly getting better. That's important. All right. So this was the general outline of today. What can I say about today in general? What kind of conclusion can I draw? So I feel, and I'm not sure about this 100%, but given that the market is very slow, I do feel that patterns are more important than momentum. And we can see a couple of good, like we can see, in fact, ORPN is a great example of unreliable momentum, where just out of nowhere, you can see all day this was going like sideways, not really moving at all and on very low volume. And then suddenly, out of the blue, there wasn't even news, at least I'm not aware of any news that came out. It just started rising. And then I believe traders came in and started trading this up into a halt. And it got halted at 3 past 10. And it halted for 5 minutes. So everyone is like looking at it and seeing, okay, what is going to happen after it. It came out of the halt and it was chopping up and down, went up a little bit, but then just as you can see, went further down. And that's another sign, like there is no real catalyst for this movement. And because there is no catalyst, this is not reliable. Let me get this. Actually, no, I should have kept this here and done this. Yes, this is much better. So this is all of today, starting at 7, all the way here. Not much happening, and then bam, from 160 to $2 in really just 2 minutes. Um, you could have gotten onto this if you had been staring at the chart, but if you just pull it up, you kind of see it here already, and it's kind of chopping, and then it suddenly goes back up and then goes into the halt. There's not really time to react to that, unless you're staring at the chart. And after that, when it came out, it kind of dropped down and got up a bit. Not really following up. So this was a good example of today, a good representation of today's general market. So that being said, today I want to focus on that kind of on that theory, pattern versus momentum. So let's start out with a couple of trades that I did today following momentum. Where I'm really not good at managing VLC. It's actually a super good video player, and there's so many hotkeys and everything that I can use. I just haven't bothered looking into the hotkeys yet, so I'm not too sure on how to get it right. But in any case, we're gonna start looking. This is my live trading video. So we're gonna look at skies down here. You can see here in the 1 minute chart, it kind of went up, a little bit of indecision, then down, then a little bit of indecision again, and then it made this huge move. And then here is a 1 minute pullback. So let's play this one. And there's this 1 minute pullback, and I'm thinking, okay, let's try it out. I got in a little bit early because I thought that maybe it's just going to pull back for like a tiny second and then shoot back up. I should have maybe waited it out a little bit, but in the end, I got in not too at 146, a little bit above this, so not too high, and I was just waiting what is going to happen. So I'm just sitting, and it's like essentially forming an indecision candle, not really getting up there again. It's kind of touching the upper end of the previous bar, but then it just bam, just fails and doesn't really do anything. In fact, like this could still be okay. Like generally, if it does like an indecision candle, it could still come back out. But this is a little bit of a big retracement. I mean, it looks like around 40% of this bar right here. Okay, my apologies, I changed there. So let me go back just 1 second. It's roughly 40% of this previous bar, which is a little bit further than you would want if you were hoping that this might continue this momentum. So it did not, and I got out with, I mean, a reasonably small loss. But still, this is an example of momentum not really working out. And signals are here. This is super choppy just in the minutes before this. It's kind of going up, indecision, down, indecision, up, down, and then it just kind of never recovers. That was the one thing where momentum just didn't really show up. And there's another example, another stock I traded today, OCC. I believe it's right here. So yes, you can see here OCC, the middle one. In terms of recent history, it had on previous day, which was Friday, previous trading day, it had kind of like a reasonable, not really a big range, from 5 to 550. I mean, it's reasonably big, but that was like quick, and then it kind of just went chopping around, and then ending up in no volume, meaning there's not really much that it can go to. It started the same way today, not really volume. Then some volume came in, and it got from 480 roughly to here to 525. So that's a good move. Then a little bit high to 550, and then this looks like a flag pattern. Looks like a breaking out, but it's actually a false breakout, another flag pattern, and then it starts breaking out for real, going up to 576. So let's play. You can see here I was trying to get in with my buy order at just around 575, but I didn't. So then I'm getting in at 584, which is a little bit later, at this essentially this 1 minute micro pullback, and just hoping that it'll continue. But bam, you can see there's a huge spread, huge jump back down, up and down. This was 555. This is a 20-cent jump just from one moment to the next. So it's a really big jump. So you don't really know where is this going to go. And I got in towards the high of this candle because my previous entry was a little bit above the current price. 575 was my previous tried buy order, but which didn't get filled. Let me speed up here a little bit, because it's kind of just chopping, not really getting above. It looks like it's forming like a micro flag, but its range is biased towards the lower end. So, well, let's just keep watching. Speed up a little bit. there. It looks like it's coming back, forming, yeah, another flag. It does get back up to that previous high to 580, and I actually bought in again to see, like to bring down my previous buy-in, my average buy-in price, and then to try to sell on another high. But it just did this huge drop there in 1 second, and you can see now. I can't zoom in here, unfortunately. Or maybe I can, but it doesn't really matter. If you look closer, you can see that this is a very big indecision candle with a huge range from 580 to 530, 50 cents range. That is not what we want. So in the end, this is not looking good. And I did get out, and all the volume is also red. So it's just clearly like, again, one or two traders, figuratively speaking, went in and tried to get this higher up, but then nobody else, and it just ended up failing hard. So these were two momentum trades today that kind of like could have been something, but just didn't. And why did they not become something? Well, it's the market is slow in general, so I think that just is the reason. Now we can look at some other trades I did today. This one is ARTW, which I traded right out of the market opening. I just got in at 366, so here at this level where it's at right now, pretty much. And you can see volume was coming in. And it is going higher, touching 74, 75, and then forming this indecision, going a little bit higher again. This could have been good. I already got out in that previous indecision candle, but as you can see, this candle is essentially also just an indecision candle, chopping up and down a bit, but then in the end it will start fading, and even this is a third indecision candle. It'll start fading any minute now. Yeah, there you go. It's kind of just like going lower and lower, slowly grinding down. This was right out of the market. So right out of the market at 9:30, you can kind of expect some stocks, especially ones that people were watching. And ARTW was on the had news. It was on my stock scanner, and it was on there for I believe it had news reason. And anyway, so just out of the bat, a lot of traders will get into this, hoping, or seeing what it will do, but then nothing much happened. I traded this one again, and that was at, what was it, 11:10. The next time I traded this was the trade where I was actually pretty sure that this is not looking good. I'm already in it again, it seems. What we're seeing here is, if you look at this chart again, it had formed a flag pattern here. This was right out of the market opening, which we saw just a second ago, and it had formed a kind of like, it had almost found this support level, not quite, so it looks like it's flagging again. And here it's kind of looks like it's breaking out, but it forms this indecision candle. And the thing is, why I didn't really believe this would work out is I was still kind of thinking, okay, it has to kind of break its previous high for this to work. Because, like a short squeeze out of a flag pattern is kind of good, but in a slow market, this will happen. It's just indecision and no real follow-up, and then it just starts fading again. So I didn't pay attention to this anymore. So you will see in the next few seconds. I'm still holding it, and I'm holding it all the way down to here, and then selling it at a big loss at the end. But I didn't really care much because this is a simulator, and this is kind of what I expected. So yeah, I got out a little bit late and paid the price, the simulated price. But it's just like, again, another example of like slow momentum and slow market, and how that affects general stock behavior. Not people, no traders there, or no buyers there to pick up this stock. All right, we're gonna go into one more fake bad trade that I made today at 13:10. Oh, we already got in there. So we're now looking at FUV, and FUV had also made, I mean, it was going sideways with very low volume. Even now, it was just at 250,000, and this was 9:43. Okay, it's still early, but it was just not looking very active. And here suddenly buyers were coming in, and this was the 1 minute micro pullback, pushing it further up. And let's see what I did. So I'm thinking this might be another pullback, so I get in there. But it seems to hit a sell wall at 540. And well, this was okay. If we look at the level 2 right now there is this pretty big 25,000 share seller at 35. That wasn't there just a moment ago. Just a moment ago, there was really not too many sellers here. So this sell wall could be a hidden seller, or just the fact that there's not many buyers coming in to pick it up. But it double tops 540, and then it just starts fading. So this is not going anywhere. In fact, only going down. Okay, so these were the ones where I was trying to show that momentum was lacking. So now in this kind of market, does it mean that this kind of market is hopeless? Well, not exactly. We can see that I had one, and I had two green trades, very small, but green in the end, nonetheless. So let's look at them and see what I did right there. So now we're going to look at Riot, which is down here. And excuse me. So what was happening here? No volume, pre-market. A little bit of volume here, but going sideways, and then it's all green, just buyers. So this is quite good. And then it had made this move. And let me slow this down to normal speed. It's not quite normal speed. Almost normal speed. And this was a essentially a 1 minute pullback. So I am watching this for actually I'm already in it at 315. So I got in just here as it was holding this level, and you can see it's slowly touching higher. There are a few sellers, but well distributed. And there are buyers coming in. So I'm just holding this and seeing what it will do. We're just watching it, and we're seeing not too many buyers there, but it does seem to have enough buyers to eat up those sellers. So now we can see it's a little bit higher already. This is another micro pullback, and I'm ready to pull the trigger if I have to, but I'm just holding on to see if it'll go back up. And excuse me, seeing that it doesn't really go back up, I just sold into this 1 minute pullback. I believe it continues later on. Yeah, it does continue. 24. There's a lot of sellers here, but it does crouch up higher. See 25 now, 24, 25, 26, 27. As soon as it ate up these sellers and then crouched higher. Now this is slow, but slow is good in this kind of market because well, I mean, this trade was green, and it was not really chopping back and forth all the time. It's 1.5 million, a little bit more than 1.5 million shares. So what exactly did I do right here? I'm not exactly sure. I mean, I did get my entry right when I was waiting into this 1 minute micro pullback, and just waiting for it to go back up, and there was no sign that it's going to fail. So it's not dropping down quickly like a lot of other stocks I traded today. Instead, it's slowly creeping up, and that gives me a little bit of profit. Now, I'm gonna have to keep practicing to see what exactly this means. Also, leave a comment if you think you know what I did right here. There's one other trade that we're gonna look at now, just at the very end. Here we go, and we're looking at IDEX, whatever you want to say, IDEX. doing this again, also just slowly creeping up on 600,000 shares of volume today, and then a lot of buyers coming in and pushing this thing a little bit higher. And here is a 1 minute pullback, and I'm getting in at 180. Quite a okay entry. I saw it ripping up, so I just got in time, and then it just keeps growing, and there are buyers. You can see this green, green, green. It's pushing higher. I'm selling a little bit, and I'm waiting for it to move a little bit higher, and I sell the rest. And this is a good I mean, this is a good trade. You know, this was, you can say this was momentum. Oh yeah, pause this. We can look at this again. You can say this was momentum, but just in general, there was green volume, and it's slowly growing instead of chopping back and forth. So this is a more stable growth today, which is a lot less risky. And it did end up giving a nice move. So today, I think a good example, it's actually a good sign. Like these setups in the previous ones, even on the ones that had news, were just choppy. They were not clean and not really good looking. So it was really impossible, or it was difficult to trade, and it was, I mean, impossible to trade well, as you can see in my summary. And it was not impossible to trade well, my apologies, but like they were very choppy and not really reliable. And this one is a little bit more reliable because it's just, there's fewer buyers and sellers, and it's just slowly creeping up. So in a slow market, it's probably best to look for these kind of like slow moving stocks. IDEX, in fact, even has a pretty high float of, I believe, 100 million, which is quite high. Usually I trade stocks with a float of maximum 30 or absolutely maximum 40 million shares. But this one had 100 million, and still it did this move. So maybe, I mean, I guess that's why it moved slowly, because it has more shares. So this is interesting. Maybe I should focus on shares with slightly higher floats, stocks with slightly higher floats. So anyway, this is my learning journey, and we will see how it goes on tomorrow. I will keep practicing this, and we'll keep checking what works for me. So leave a comment if you have any thoughts or any suggestions, and if not, I will see you tomorrow. Bye bye.